Hello, in this recording I'm going to show how to create database tables for MySQL server, which is installed on the Moxie server, and I'm also going to show how to transfer the files through FTP into Moxie and how to run the SQL commands into MySQL at the command line. So first of all, to create a database file with SQL commands, I can use, for example, Notepad++, which is a text editor where you can select different languages. For example, in S, I could select SQL. SQL is automatically selected because I'm using a file that has an extension, as you can see at the top, of SQL. I call it dreamhome.sql. I've already created my file, so if you want to follow along this video, you may want to pause and to create the file as it is here. This is an SQL command file. The first line specifies the name of the database, so you would have received MySQL account information. We have created for you a database. So the database is prefixed by the year. Then there is a dash, and then there is your Moxie username, which is the same as your MySQL username. So for example, for me, my database was created in 2015, and so it's a 2015-Bishanda, which is my Moxie username. And in this example, I'm creating two tables, branch and staff. And first, it's usual to first try to drop the tables, simply because that way you can run the same SQL script over and over again without receiving an exception when you create tables additional times. So you see also how you write a comment in an SQL script. You just put a pound in front. You have the example of a table branch, which has a certain number of attributes, one being the primary key, branch number. And you have a table staff, which also has a certain number of attributes. It has a primary key, which is staff number. It has an alternate key or secondary key, which is an index key, which is a position, for example. And it has one foreign key, which is branch number. And it has some options for the foreign key, which actually are the options by default for update and delete. And so you can just type in Notepad++, you can type in this SQL script, then you save it, or you save as an SQL document. So me, I've already done that, so I don't need to save again, but you would definitely choose to save as SQL. So once you're done editing your file, the next step is to transfer this file through FTP, and I'm going to use FileZilla myself for FTP. You can use other tools as well, but again, I'm going to use FileZilla. So in FileZilla, there are two parts. Mostly the left-hand side will be your local computer. So for me, it's going to be where is my dream home. So my dream home.sql file is under my BHI 508 folder, learning modules, module 4, and week 10. And here it is. This is the one I just edited. And on the right hand side here will appear the Moxie server, my account on Moxie. So the name of the host is moxie.oswego.edu. My username is Bishanda. So this should have been given to you. If you don't have a username on Moxie, contact me. And your password also has been given to you. You don't need to specify the port. You click Quick Connect, and if the connection is successful, you will see here appear a certain number of files that are on your account. And there is particularly a public HTML file, which is where we're gonna place a lot of our work. And I recommend that you place your dream home somewhere in your public HTML in a folder for a class that you create here. So for example, me, I'm gonna create a directory that I call BHI508. And I'm gonna copy my dream home SQL simply by clicking on it and dragging it. I drag it and drop it under my BHI508 folder. And so now my dreamhome.sql script is on Moxie. Now what I need to do is to connect distantly to Moxie and to run my SQL there, which I can do by using another free software that you can install, which is called Putty, P-U-T-T-Y. Just like FileZilla also is a free software. When I open Putty, it also asks me for the host name, which is the same, moxie.oswego.edu. The port by default you can leave, and you can leave all the other information by default. Or you can also use Telnet. I open. Again, you have been provided login information to Moxie, and I'm here at my root at my home folder, and if I want to list the names of the files that are there, it's Linux type of commands, so I type ls. ls will list the files. And as I said, my dreamhome.sql file is located under public HTML. So I type, to navigate between folders, I can type cd. cd will change directory or folder, and public underscore HTML. I can also use the tab key to finish, to complete writing a file. So for example, if I type pub and I type tab on my keyboard, it completes the folder. So it's a little bit faster to do like that. Again, ls will list the files there. And again, I'm going to navigate to BHI508 folder, which I've created there. Again, cd space BHI508. Again, ls. And I find here my dreamhome.sql file. So now what I need to do, once I see my dreamhome.sql file, what I need to do is to enter MySQL by typing MySQL -u, which is for user. And here I type my username for MySQL, which has been provided to you, which is the same as the username for Moxie, but the password is different. So your password will have been given to you. So I enter the password, and I know that I am in MySQL because I can see here the command prompt MySQL. So I can now type at MySQL commands in MySQL database language, And in particular, I can type here SQL commands. So for example, the SQL command to display the list of databases available is show databases. And I put a semicolon at the end always. I see that I have 3 databases here. And the one that you're going to work on will be the 4 digits for the year, dash, and your username. So for me, it's, for example, in 2015, was created my database 2015-Bishanda. I don't need to change, although I can. So if I want to see what is in this database, I need to select it by use 2015-Bishanda. It says database change, and I can then list the tables by show tables semicolon. And it says it's empty, so there is no table there. Now to run the dreamhome.sql script, I type source dreamhome.sql semicolon. I type enter. The first 2 lines, it says database changed, because I wanted to use 2015 Bishanda. The first 2 lines correspond to the drops because the tables don't exist yet, so it's normal that there is an error. And then it creates them because it says query OK. So that's what happens. Now if I type in show tables, I can also access previous commands I've used by using the up arrow on my keyboard, which I do here. As you can see, I don't have to type again. And if I typed again the up arrow, I would see previous commands like that. So I'm just going to go back to show tables. And I see my 2 tables. And to exit, I would type exit. And again, I could type exit to exit Moxie. Now, what is interesting is there is another way of accessing MySQL. There are different ways, but one tool is called phpMyAdmin. I have installed it myself, so you can see it under my account, under Moxie, moxie-oswego.edu/tilde/bishanda/phpMyAdmin. And if I type here my username in MySQL, because that accesses MySQL, and my password for MySQL, I will have here access to a more graphical user interface type to interface with the database. I see my database, and I'm going to see my tables that I've just created. I see branch, and I can see here the different columns, and I can see staff and the different columns, and I could also edit it. I could as you can see, edit it. I could here drop, for example, the tables here. I could would first drop staff, I would select it and drop. So also pretty much the commands that I type in at the command line, I can also execute them here graphically with PHP by MyAdmin, which is one possibility. You can also install phpMyAdmin yourself under Moxie, although you can use mine. The version that you want to install, because the version you want to install is written here. It's version, no, that's the version of MySQL, but that's not the one I want. Documentation. Let's see. Yeah, the help. It's version 4.0.10.5. So you don't want to install any version because it needs to be compatible with the MySQL version, which is 5.1 5.1.34, and so this one is 4.0.10.5. And so with both MySQL alone or with PHPMyAdmin, for example, you can create really all the database structures that you want. You can create any tables and indexes and primary keys and foreign keys. Thank you for your attention.